Welcome to the Garage USA. I'm Jonathan Brinke.
And I'm Mary Brinke.
And today we are going down Route 66. Before we get started, make sure you check out our new store for all the latest merchandise from the Garage USA, including some items that are available for a limited time. Not only do they look great, it also helps support the channel. Now back to the video. Thanks for joining us. So we are just outside of Chicago, or in Chicago, near Chicago, I don't know. Anyway, we are on the Chicago end of Route 66, and today we are going from Chicago to Cuba, Missouri. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so Route 66 has many alignments, realignments, different routes you can take. We are trying to stick to the most original part of Route 66. It's not always that easy to do so, and Mary is making sure that we do try to keep on the right path. Got a nice book to flip through for that. Alright, so we've stopped at Dick's on 66. Got some cool old vehicles here. And they have an original part of the Route 66 roadway. Alright, you want to come over too? Okay, and I got a couple of photos of her on that original part of Route 66, the bricks. It just looked so cool. And then we are back on the road, and really, you know, last time, that first part that I did starting in Cuba, going to Flagstaff, I focused a lot on the road. This time I am going to focus a lot more on the roadside attractions and places that you might stop and visit, because I mean, the driving part is just driving, but again, I did try to stay to the most original part of the route. So and I'm only going about 5 over, so that's why I'm getting passed by everybody. It doesn't matter if you go 5 over or 10 over the posted, you're always going to get passed by someone. And our first stop for gas was at the Route 66 Food and Fuel. Had to top up the car. And then just off to the side of the building, you can see it in the distance. And I'll go up and get a nice close photo of that. And that is the Bluesmobile from the movie Blues Brothers, or at least a replica of it. Alright, and then our next stop was in Wilmington. And they got a nice little parking lot here next to their park. Really cool little building. And then, so what I'm looking at as far as roadside attractions are the Muffler Men. And if you don't know what Muffler Men are, there's a lot of information online, and just a really interesting thing. So this is going to be the first Muffler Man you're going to see starting from Chicago, and this is the Gemini Giant. And this one was actually not an original one, and it's the only one made out of metal. And it's been moved a few times, but it's here in Wilmington. So really cool little thing. And then next was the Polka Dot Drive-In, and this was in Braidwood. They've got a lot of little sculptures or statues or whatever on the outside. And they got a couple over here on this side as well. Mary wanted to get her photo with Superman, so I did that. And then we also stood in front of Elvis and did a photo there. Then we were back on the road. And the next stop was in Gardner. And we found this little Coca-Cola store. They weren't open, but we parked the car in front and we took some photos of some really cool Coca-Cola memorabilia in front of the store. Mary got a photo of me in front of the sign with all the Route 66 signs for the different states. And then I also noticed that they had the historic Route 66 on the roadway itself painted on there, so I went and walked down that to look at every little sign that had the different states. And then at the end here, it actually shows that you can take historic Route 66, which goes to the right, and then also there is a jail if you go to the left. So we went to the jail, and it's an old 2-cell jail. I think it was built in 1903, if I remember correctly. And Mary was inside doing her filming. I'm going to film you. You're a guard. I don't think I'd want to.
Take my picture in one of the cells. Like if you're going to become scared.
And she also got a picture of me in the jail cell.
You're on camera, so there you go.
That's about 20 miles.
And then we were back on the road.
Okay, so we are stopping at a historic gas station in Odell, Illinois.
And this is just an old standard oil station. There's some information about this roadside attraction, and took some video. And then Mary also took a photo of the car parked outside. The inside, just really basic on the inside, and they did have a really cool old cash register. And then in Pontiac, we found some old cars under a canopy here, so had to stop and take a picture of that as well, or a little video anyway. Okay, so this is Lumi the Pie Lady. It is a refurbished Uniroyal gal, and it is named Lumi for the co-owner of the restaurant that this is adjacent to. And then there is the library that has a clock tower. For some reason, it reminded me of the movie Back to the Future, so I did need to film a little bit of that as well. And then just across the road from that is the Gemini Giant, which was originally it was a Muffler Man, and then it was used for Nathan's hot dogs, and then it ended up being moved out here to this location here. So it is the Gemini Giant. And then over here is a little bit of information on its history. So again, really interesting information, and I just love these Muffler Men because they are kind of scattered throughout the US. I believe there's a little over 300 of those that are out there. And then just down the road is the American Giants Museum. As you can see, there's quite a few in this old Texaco station. On the outside, they've got the policeman, and then there are 3 in the back. And there's a little tighter shot of the policeman standing next to the building. Okay, so this one is the Snurd, the one in the red shirt, and kind of looks like the face of the Mad Magazine character. And then there is a original Phillips 66 Cowboy, and then there is the Carpet Viking. And these are all just behind the Giant Museum. Okay, and then inside the museum, there is Mama Burger. And then there is the traffic stopper. And that's a little taller than these other ones in here. Then we've got Big Boy. That was from a burger joint. And this is the Indian Brave Giant head. And then there is a Uniroyal foot. This had been damaged in a storm. It had been sent in to be restored or rebuilt, and then they never actually used it. It did not get replaced, so there is just the foot or the leg of a Uniroyal gal. All right, and then there is the Lauterbach Muffler Man. He's holding an American flag.
Okay, we are in Livingston, Illinois. This is our last stop in Illinois before we cross over into Missouri, and we are at the Pink Elephant Antiques. And they got all kinds of cool stuff here, so we're going to go check it out.
And there are some interesting things at this Pink Elephant Antiques. There's Alvin and the Chipmunks. There's a giant cupcake. Now, we didn't go inside this store. We just kind of looked at the things on the outside. So there's a little dinosaur next to this mobile gas station sign. And there's some aliens and a UFO. And then there's some more space stuff. And then there's a giant tricycle. And another giant tricycle. And another Muffler Man, and this one is the Harley-Davidson Muffler Man. And then there's the Pink Elephant for Pink Elephant Antiques. And then we're back on the road, and we are coming into St. Louis. There's the St. Louis Arch.
Okay, so we are in Cuba, Missouri. So that's going to end this video. I will put a link in the description below for our video from Cuba to Flagstaff. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to thank you for watching The Garage USA. I'm Jonathan Brinke.
I'm Mary Brinke.
And we'll see you next time.